Hey guys, what's up? This is Don and welcome to another Cinema 4D tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to model a road tunnel. I have this cool reference image from Google and I'm going to be trying to make something similar. So I will link this to you as well so you can follow along with the exact same image that I am using too. So yeah, let's go into Cinema and see what we can come up with. What I have done in preparation for this is loaded up the same reference image into my front viewport. I did this by pressing Shift V whilst I was in this view and then going to the back tab and loading up the image under this image section here. And what I also did was load it up onto a plane and then just sort of pushed it back into the Z space. So I can model in my perspective view without having to jump to the orthographic view or back to my browser to see which bit I need to do next. So that's something that you may find helpful also. Okay, let's go. So I will start with a plane. This is a pretty simple looking scene, a lot of blocks and square geometry. So a plane is a good way to start. I'm going to give it one segment on both the height and the width, and then I will hit C to make it into an editable object. I'm going to go to point mode, go to live selection, and select the 2 points on the right side. They are on 200 centimeters in the X position, so I'm going to zero that out so that all of my geometry lies on the left side of the x-axis. So now what I can do is go to the array icon and get symmetry and drop my plane into the symmetry, and this is going to mirror all of the geometry on this side onto the right side. So whatever I do on the left side will be replicated onto the other side. And the reason I'm doing this is simply because if we look at our scene, it is quite symmetrical. It's actually almost the same on both sides. The only difference as far as I can see is that this side here has sort of this railing here. So for the most part, the left and the right side are exactly the same. So we can save ourselves some time by just modeling one side and mirroring it across, and it's also a more efficient way of organizing your polygons and topology. So with that, let's go to edge mode. We're just going to try to copy this edge flow here. You see how it kind of goes up and then goes back a little bit, goes up quite a bit, and basically carries on going up and down and so on. So using that image as reference, I'm going to try to replicate the same shape. So if I go to edge mode, I can select this edge right here, right click, I'm going to go to extrude, and I'm going to use an offset of 0. The reason why I'm doing this is this is something called a zero extrude. It gives you a new edge which you can move to a new position. So let me show you what I mean. If I hit apply and then go to move this, you can see now I just pulled out a new edge from that original selection, and I can repeat this by just hitting new transform, and I can get another new edge and so on. So I think this is a really fast way of generating this sort of step pattern going on here. So let's okay, I already had it. I was going to hit apply again, but I already had it, so that's good. I'm just going to move this up to about here. Maybe a little lower. Let's hit new transform and move this back about twice as much as we moved the first one up. I'm just going to get the sort of same proportions that we can see here. Oops, it's a little too far. And then I'm going to hit new transform again to do another 0 extrude, and then we can move this one up quite a lot more than the previous one. I think about right here looks pretty good. Maybe that's a little bit too high. This is fine right here. And I can hit new transform again to run another 0 extrude. And let's push this back just a touch. This is this blue section here going back. Let's hit new transform again and move this up just a little bit. I think this distance here is about the same as this distance here. So use that as reference for scale and proportion, and should be pretty simple to follow. I am completely just eyeing this up, but you can take more care when you're doing yours. You may be able to get a better result. So I'm gonna go with this one all the way to the top. 0 extrude once again. Move this back here quite a lot more this time. This is this ledge here going back to the back wall. And then I'll maybe a little bit more back. I'm gonna hit new transform, and we're gonna move this one all the way up to the top. You might be wondering why we're only modeling this tiny little section when the tunnel is in fact quite large and extends quite far back. The reason why we're only modeling this one section is because the tunnel is pretty much the same going back. We only need to model one cross section, and then we will duplicate it as much as we want to control the length of our tunnel. It's a much more efficient way of working instead of having, I don't know, 10 of these lined up and trying to do the same thing over and over again. Okay, I'm gonna move this up to about here. I think that looks pretty good right there. I'm gonna go to rectangle selection and tick only select visible elements, so that when I do this I can select all of the points. I need to go to point mode and select everything on the left side. I'm just gonna pull it out here just to make this a bit wider. That looks pretty good to me. Let's carry on with our edge flow. I'm gonna get this edge, right click, extrude, 0 extrude. I'm gonna move this up and then in a little bit. I think that's what's happening here. This kind of comes in a little bit here. So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna right click, extrude, new transform, and we're gonna pull this back to 0 and basically close that up. So we now have the basic shape of the tunnel, and it looks pretty cool. Now what we can go and do is to block in some of those details. So we want to block in this hole right here, this ledge here, and we'll move on to do the lights and the rails. So starting with this block right here, we are only going to have one right in the middle. So what I will do is press M followed by K to bring up my knife tool, go to loop mode, and we want to cut right in the middle. If you press shift, it will let you pull your mouse away, go to the attributes box and type out 50%, and then if you click again, that should have made a cut right in the middle. Let's try that again. So 50% and click, and there you go. We now have a cut right down the middle. What we want to do now is to select that one cut. I'm just using the live selection tool here and holding shift to add to my selection. If you select something you don't like, you can hold control and hover over it to unselect it. Our cut did not go all the way around for some reason, so we're going to get our knife, get the line tool, get this over here, and we want to cut to the edge here. You can see we can't really make a straight cut. So what I am actually going to do here, I could undo and do another cut. I don't know why it didn't go all the way through, but I'm going to remove this. Right click and optimize to remove these unused points up here, and then I am just going to select that top edge again, if it will let me, and we can basically zero extrude this. Just put it back to 0, and now our line goes all the way through. Unfortunately, we have to make that selection all over again. So if I just do this and then unselect on the sides, that looks pretty good to me. We're going to right click and bevel, and if you just left click and drag to the right, we're going to create a new opening in the middle here, and this is the geometry we're going to use to create one of these holes right here. I keep obscuring my view with my geometry. Maybe extend this out a little bit. I'm gonna get my knife tool once again, and if we look right here, you can see we have 5 cuts. We have 5 different lines going up and down. I think we can actually only get away with 4 lines. So if we do this line, and just this line, this bottom 2 here have the same texture on them, so we can just keep that as one block. So what we will do is let's block in those 4 lines starting from the top. I am going to completely add this up. If I get my loop cut, I'm gonna go 1. Oops, it is restricted to selection at the moment, so let's unselect that, and I'm gonna cut in 4 times. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I only need to cut 3 times, but that will create 4 different segments. I think these last 2 segments are going to be too large, so what I will do is just cut that in a little bit larger than I did initially. And then if we were to make another cut here, you would see that it will be equal. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna press T to bring up my scale and just bring this back in a little bit. I still had that edge selected, so I can just change the size again. Okay, if I go to live selection, I can get this polygon right here. Right click, extrude, and then just hold Control and push it back like this. And now we have this hole right here. If you can see, it's 2 blocks from the middle and 2 blocks from the base and 2 blocks from the top. So everything looks great. Next up, I'm going to create this edge right here. It's got a bit of a bevel. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a slight beveled edge here, and I think it just kind of hangs a little bit over this white section too. So what I'm going to do is to get my knife again in loop mode. Let's make a cut around about here. If you can see here, this is divided into 3 parts, so let's try to copy that. So the next line would have been here, but again, if you look, the texture is the same here, so we only need to block out this top section here. Okay, I'm actually going to cut in 2 lines right next to each other. like this. And then what I can do is select this face. Don't select the top here, and I can just move this out a little bit. And this is that slide hang I was talking about. I think you can just about see it on our reference image. Okay, that looks pretty good. That bevel is still not there, so let's get this line over here, and we are going to right click and bevel. And if we just left click and drag to the right, we now have a nice bevel right there, and that looks pretty good. I think there's a slide bevel here and here also, so we can probably block those in, and there's a slide bevel on the back wall here too. So if I just get all those lines, right click, bevel, I'm just gonna hit apply because it's the same bevel as we have right here as well. Right, this is looking pretty good. We pretty much have these steps finished. Next up, we are going to make this rail right here. You can see this kind of come down and sort of bend into the wall, and they are sort of clamped by something here. Let's see if we can recreate that small detail, and then also this sort of clamp at the top. If you can't see all these details here, you can go to the reference image and zoom in a little bit, and you can maybe see them a bit better. But if we go back to our model, what time am I on? 17 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, right, what were we doing? Alright, yeah, the rails. I am going to block in 3 rails only, and then the rest will be part of that replication that I talked about at the beginning. Right, so we are going to start off with a cylinder. Let's move it to this side. I'm going to press N followed by B to bring up growth shading lines, which is the same as the original growth shading, only it has lines where we have edges, so we can just see a little bit better. What I am also going to do is to change the default object color to 80% gray, just so I can see a little bit better. I bought a new screen recently, and it has a much lower gamma and much higher contrast range, so everything is just darker. Sort of the blacks are really black and the whites are really white, and I lost out on a lot of midtones. It's a better screen theoretically, but I'm just getting used to it. Okay, enough about my new screen. Let's carry on with the tutorial. I am gonna have maybe just 12 segments on this, and then lower the radius down to about 5, maybe 7 or 7.5. Let's bring this up. I think that is too thick. Let's maybe 6. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. And actually, you know what? I have a better idea for this. I was going to try to basically model this curve here, but I realized I can do this a little bit easier. I'm still going to put this cylinder here because I think it's good reference for the height. If you imagine the lights are going to be where this line is right here, these rails go up about half the distance to where the lights begin. So we can use this as a measuring stick to try and just get sort of over halfway distance from this ledge to the lights. And this looks pretty good right here. What I will do now is to go to the front view, and you can see where our cylinder is. I'm going to press Shift V and increase the transparency of my background until it's disappeared. I don't need it to be there right now. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is to get a spline, a Bezier spline, and we are going to draw on one of these posts. I'm going to move this to just about here. Let's go back to our Bezier spline. I'm going to start at the top here, go straight down, and then draw like a curve. Okay, I pressed shift and that basically snapped the direction of the spline to the starting point. So when I clicked the next point, it kind of created a wrong edge. But anyway, if I click here, I can make a nice curve like this, and then all I need to do now is to make sure this point is on the same X position as this point down here. So this is -331. I'm gonna copy that and paste it over here, so we have a nice straight line with the curve at the bottom here. Can maybe just pull that in a little bit. If I press E, I can adjust these curves, and I will get a sweep NURBS and get a circle, give it a radius of 6, so it's very small but it's there, and with the circle above the spline that we just made, I will drop both of these into the sweep NURBS. So if I go back to my perspective view, you can see what we have just created here. If I can remove this cylinder, I'm going to go to the circle here, go to the intermediate points. I will set this to uniform and set the number to maybe just 2. So we have less segments. We don't need the amount it gave us to begin with. This looks pretty good to me. What I'm going to do then is to just move this spline in points mode. Let's move it in until it touches that edge over here. If we look at our reference image, it kind of touches where this edge here touches the white area. So I think we need to just push it up a little bit so that it intersects with both sections here. Okay, so next up is sort of this little grip thing here, which is holding these rails to this gray area. I cannot see what's going on here, so I'm completely just going to use my imagination as to what I think should be there. So for this, what I would do, let's see, I'm actually having to do some thinking here. Okay, I think I have an idea. I will start off by making this into an editable object, and then selecting the sweep NURBS cap 1 and cap 2, and connect and delete, so that they merge down into one object. And then I'm going to press M followed by K for my knife tool, and I'm going to make a cut around about here. I'm going to select, I'm going to go to polygon mode, go to live selection, U followed by L to get loop selection. Select that loop right here. I can extrude it out. It looks to me like there's something sort of gripping it around in a circle. So that is that little section there, and I'm going to expand my selection to select these two here. If I press U followed by Y, my selection will be expanded, basically following the same loop. If I did that again, this loop will be selected and this one will be selected. When I move this whole thing up, to about here looks pretty good. If we work from this side, brighter for some reason, I'm gonna select just 4 of those faces right there. I'm gonna hold Control and just drag this out here. And then what I'm gonna do is get my knife tool once again. In loop mode, I'm gonna make a cut round about here, and I'm gonna extend my selection by pressing U followed by Y. Then I can pull this down just so it touches the surface of that. And I think that's pretty good for that little detail. I can imagine that's probably what it looks like. You can be more creative with this. I don't know, maybe you could grab this little section here, these 2 sides, and maybe extrude them out or something. I don't know, it's entirely up to you what you want to do. Just use your imagination and see if you can come up with something which makes sense. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. You could maybe even get these blocks here now. Same over here, extrude inner. Let's extrude inner again, and let's extrude out. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but it's entirely up to you what you can what you want to make it out to be. That didn't make any sense. Let's carry on. This is what happens when I make sort of free flow unplanned tutorials. I end up saying a lot of stupid things, so please forgive me. Okay, next up we're gonna go to the cloner object, because we want 3 of these bars in this section right here. So I'm gonna get the first one actually before I get the cloner object. I'm gonna go to Mesh, Commands, and we're gonna have, okay, it's not here. We want to axis center, and I'm gonna hit execute, and that's gonna move the center from way down here to where it should be. And then I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna move this to roughly about here or so. I don't know, maybe about here looks good. I will go to cloner. Let me show you a cool trick. If I hold AOT whilst I select a new object, and I have an object selected over here, that new object will automatically become a parent of whatever object I had selected here. It's a cool way of inserting effectors and MoGraph tools really easy. Okay, we'll keep the count at 3, but the position needs to be 0 on Y, and we increase the Z until we think we have a good distribution. Imagine this distance here needs to be exactly half of this distance here, because when we replicate this and have it end to end, that distance could be disproportionately large. So let's see. This is very hard to gauge, but I think this looks pretty good. Let's try an experiment. If I turn that off, I will get a symmetry, and let's throw this in here, and let's mirror it across one of the right axis. Okay, this is completely failing. By the way, what you've just saw me do by soloing that, this is a plugin called Magic Solo. It allows you to just grab any shape, solo it out, so you can work on that one shape alone, and then when you're done, you can just hit solo again, and all of your other objects will come back. But anyway, what I was trying to do there is to replicate it once to see if the distance was gonna be the same. But I think I have it pretty good right here. Maybe just a little bit larger. This is directly in the middle of this here, so I think I'm good. So those are these bars standing up. Next we can have this bar going across. This is going to be very easy. We just need a cylinder. Give it a radius of 6 again, 12 rotation segments, orientation positive Z, and bring this up. Push it to the top. Maybe increase the radius by 1. And maybe bring it down so that it covers the edges. And then we can just give this a height of 400. I know that was the original height of our original plane, so this stops exactly where this edge here stops, and the same goes for the back. You can always check using the orthographic views to see if this is actually true. And you can see this is flush with the edge over here and flush with the edge over this side. So that's how easy it is to put that top bar on. This is looking pretty good. Next up are the lights. I may have to split this tutorial into 2. I don't know. 31 minutes. We might as well tank it and just do the whole thing in one hit. It's gonna be the longest tutorial I've ever done, but I'm having fun. Are you? Of course you are. Okay, let's start off with a cube for the lights. Let's make it real thin. Let's bring it out here. And we need it to be in this section way up here. Oops, rotating around the wrong object there. Let's rotate it so that it's on the right angle. I am going to give it an X size of just 5, a Y size of maybe just 50, maybe even smaller than 50. What about 45? And then the Z, let's make it 400. One light, I think, is as long as this entire section. Maybe it's not exactly in this scene, but we're going to make it like that, because we don't have to follow bit by bit. We can just improvise in a lot of areas, as you may have seen already me doing. Let's shut this off, it's distracting. Okay, I think this is a good position for the light. If you look, we have kind of these handles attaching the lights to the top. So let's make our own handles. I'm going to hit C to make this into an editable object. I'm going to hold M followed by K for my knife tool. Go to polygon mode. And I'm going to make a cut at the end here. Actually, before I do that, I should make a cut right in the middle. So let's block in 50% and make that cut. And then at the front here, if I lock that in again, I'm gonna cut at 95%. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then at the other end here, I will lock this in and offset 5%. This distance here is now exactly the same as the distance over here. This is great. I am going to get the following blocks. So this one right here, this one over here. I'm gonna solo this out. That plugin is probably one of the best free tools that are available for Cinema 4D. It's created by Nitroman, one of the best plugin developers ever. He has a ton of free plugins that you can go and download right now. Go check out his blog. You will not be disappointed. Okay, so I have those 4 points selected. I'm going to extrude outward like this, and then I'm going to maybe make that a little more. I'm going to deselect the base on both the sides here, and then carry on the top like this. And then I will just extrude one more time just to get that extra segment over here. And then I shall get these points at the back, these faces at the back. And I'm going to push them backward like that. If I unsolo, you can see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to create like this sort of handle which attaches them to the top like that. Maybe if I grab this edge here, oops, and this edge over here, I can okay, got that back. I can just curve that a little bit. Okay, I went too far with this. This is way too high now. So what I'm going to do is look from this direction, go to rectangle selection, go to point mode. Only select visible elements is not ticked, so I can get all of these points and just move them down a little bit, and then get the whole block and move it up just like that. And then I am gonna get the base of the sections down here. I need to deselect these faces here. Let's move this up. Oh yeah, sorry, we need to move it up higher, and then extrude, not bevel, extrude. Let's solo that again so I can get behind here. It's got that face over here and this face right over here, and we are going to extrude once more, but let's unsolo first, and let's bring that over here. Looking pretty good. I'm gonna go to live selection, edge mode, select these two lines right here, and we can just push them back as we did before at the top, just to create a more curved edge. Next up is the actual lights. I'm just gonna grab this whole face here, right click, we're going to bevel. I think that's our best guess. Actually, I want to bevel this section too at the end. Not just the middle sections. So let's bring that out. Inner offset, let's make it 2, so it's more slanted. We are going to extrude inner, so let's bring that in. Let's bevel, extrusion 3, inner offset -2 this time. Oops, no, we want 2. Nope, it's the extrusion which should be -3. Excuse me, I'm getting a little confused here. So that's gonna go back in again like this. And then we'll bevel one more time, new transform, set the extrusion to 5 this time. So this is gonna stick out quite a lot. So this is like the frame and this is like the light bulb. Before I go any further, I might as well just put the material for this. So if I press U followed by Y to expand my selection, I can create a new material really fast, apply the luminance channel, and drop that onto here, and we have our light. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, moving on. We have everything finished modeling. No, we haven't. If you see up here, we have this sort of cabling. Let's go and do that as well. I am going to do something a little different though. Instead of cabling, I am going to have some piping. So I'm going to have maybe just 8 rotation segments this time, a radius of maybe just 3, orientation positive Z. Let's move this way up here at the top. That's too thick still. A radius of 2. Maybe it's still too thick, but I think I can roll with this. Let's give it a height of 400. And actually, I think it looks cool when it goes through the lights. Kind of looks like it's powering the lights, doesn't it? When I hit C, and then I'm just gonna make a few random cuts on that side and on this side. Let's get loop selection. I'm just going to bevel this a little bit. Let's have an inner offset of 1, so it's nice and slanted, or maybe even 2. And an extrusion of 1. So we have this sort of pipe-like looking thing. Let's duplicate it, bring it down, and push it back. We're gonna go to polygon mode, expand our selection, press T, and let's make this section smaller like this, just so there's a slight offset. I'm pretty happy with that. I think it's a nice little detail that we can just slap on. I think this whole section is done. All we have to do now is a little bit of texturing. But I think it may be a good idea to perhaps just replicate this to see what it looks like before we start any texturing. What time are we on? Oh, wow, okay. Definitely splitting this now. And I'm gonna make it such an abrupt cut of the first tutorial. You're gonna be wondering why it ended so fast, but now you know why. Okay,